Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering video. So today we're going to be taking a look at the most recent From the Vaults product. This is From the Vaults Annihilation. Because of the nature of this product, this could get very nostalgic. So if you don't like overly drawn out nostalgic Magic the Gathering unboxings, then I would stop the video now. Because it's not going to be the video for you. However, if you do, then I would also suggest you stop the video at least temporarily and go and make a beverage and come back and sit down and enjoy the rest of the video. The video is not going to be longer than 40 minutes, basically because that's as long as I can fit on the chip for this camera at high def. Also, we're going to be having a look at a couple of other things. I've had these sitting around for a little while now, so I think it's time that I open these. So this is the promo packs for the Jewels of the Planeswalker 2015. This one here is the Xbox one that you get when you redeem your code, and this one is everything else. So that would be Steam and the iPad. I don't believe, at least when it first came out, there was a version for the PS3, but if anybody knows different or they've now released one, please just comment on the video just to clarify for everybody. But at the time there was basically a version for Steam, the iPad and the Xbox basically, which is what this pack is. So we're going to crack those open, see what's in those. Anyway, back to the From the Vaults Annihilation. So I've actually picked this up in the UK on the same trip where I picked up the Speed vs Cunning dual decks, but at a different shop. I went on a trip to Richmond, it's Richmond on Thames, and was pleasantly surprised to find that there was still a comic and collectible shop in Richmond, and this is a shop which is now called Raygun. Now, back when I used to take trips to Richmond, it was called They Walk Among Us. Now, what's interesting about particularly about the shop in Richmond was my very first boosters were bought at They Walk Among Us, and I got into Magic around 10th edition, so that was the core set. And just so there's no confusion, 10th edition is not M10. 10th edition was the core set before M10. There's lots of interesting things about 10th edition. It was the first core set since, you know, the Alpha, Beta and Unlimited, which actually saw a return to black bordered cards. It obviously had the modern card design on it, and the set had Wrath of God in it, which is also a link into what we're going to find in here. It had the new borders already. The modern, as we call the modern borders, had come in around at the 8th edition core set, but it was a return to the black borders, which at that point core sets had white borders, but all the expansion sets had black borders on them. I like anybody buying Magic for the first time, you have a real fond regard for the first Magic set, unless it was just totally awful. So we got stuff in it like Wrath of God, Hypnotic Spectre, Birds of Paradise, had Painlands in it, had Pithing Needle, had Manlands in it, basically. So lots of really interesting stuff. It had, unusual for a core set at the time, it had legendary creatures in it as well, inclusion of legends, and I think there were 2 in each colour. And I made a reference to one of them in the Speed vs Cunning deck, because there was a legendary blue creature, Arcanus the Omnipotent, included in that particular deck, which was also in 10th edition, and also in the theme decks. Each of the theme decks in this 10th edition had their lead card was a legendary creature. So lots going on in this, and so it was really nice to just go back into the shop, although it obviously changed hands, and it's still there and still selling, you know, comics and collectibles and collector magic stuff. So I was really very pleased when I went in there, and they had from the vaults at an affordable. This is UK money, 39. That is not 89, but 39.99. Because these things can just get obscenely priced. Has anybody seen some of the subsequent prices on some of the earlier ones, and some on from the vaults 20? It just goes out of control. But I was pleased about picking this up at a fair rate. You're going to be hard pressed, I think, to pick them up at MRSP, but certainly $39.99 is not an obscene amount of money. So in these, if you've not seen them before, you get 15 premium foil cards, and we're going to talk a little bit about the problems with premium foils. They've got new artwork. I don't know if they've all got new artwork, but certainly the older ones will usually have. There's also got a spin down life counter and a collector's guide, which gives you a bit of a backstory about the product. So that sort of ties in with our nostalgic bit. So let's open these up. Maybe first let's just have a look at the poster. I don't know. I'm zoomed in pretty close here, as usual. But just to give you an idea, if you get this, so here you've got like backstory on the cards. Let me just see there. You can see that. So there's Armageddon, and there's information about Armageddon, and also information about previous sets. Although something like Wrath of God. No, it does actually say that. It says appearing in every core set until 10th edition. So I'm assuming that the card that it mentions under there is its very first appearance that the card was in. So you can see it was in limited edition alpha in 1993, and it's been in every core set until 10th edition. And then a little bit about, you know, its effects, and where it's turned up in play. So that's a nice thing to sort of sit down with, and again have a read over, a nice beverage. And there's some cool artwork on the back here. Again, unfortunately, I'm zoomed fairly heavily in, but that's the artwork from the Wrath of God. Now, while we're on the subject of Wrath of God, I mentioned about the 10th edition artwork, and just to bring that back into the camera, you can see the artwork's quite different there, although it still appears to be blowing stuff up. This is a copy from, this would be 4th edition, so it's got white borders on it. So this is another core set. So this is an old style Wrath of God artwork, and also with the old style text, which just says bury all creatures, as opposed to destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated. So let's open this up. I don't know how well you can see this already just with them flat, but we've already got, well, it's not too bad actually. It looked a lot, they've actually seemed to have unbent a little bit, which is unusual. So what have we got in here? So we've got also our spin down counter here. I think they've slightly changed these actually. There's our logo. There you go, sort of orange colour. I don't know how well that colour's coming up on the camera. So we'll take a look at our cards here. Yeah, the bottom ones are starting to bend here. So this is a problem with foil cards generally, although it does seem to be worse with the premium foil. So this product and the product like what was it? I think Graveborn, you know, the premium decks. They had a lot of problems with card bending. And what you're getting is the problem is that there's the foil side and there's the non-foil side, and what happens is you get different rates of expansion for the two sides, and that will cause the card to basically curve. You can see it's curving here left to right. You'll also see a curving in regular magic foils, of sort of a top to bottom curve often there, and that's obviously a real problem if you're playing and these are part of your deck, because it'll make the card that make it more prominent, which it can be issues in sort of full-blown competitive play, because it makes the card stand out. Yeah, so again, if anybody's got any tips and tricks for, like, you know, sensible ways of unbending these, then please comment. The one foil you don't see it on, or the one type of foil you don't see it on, is from the Innistrad block with the double faced cards, because they were foiled both. So if you had a double faced card that was foiled, it was foiled both sides, which meant you didn't get different rates of expansion, and therefore you didn't get it curving. So that's one of the few types of foiling that you don't see that, because it's foiled both sides. So what we'll do, let's zoom into this and actually talk a bit about the cards. So we're getting a bit of, you can see shine on this. I'm going to try so it doesn't interfere with the camera, but I do apologise if it affects the card. There's not much I can do. Because if I switch down the lighting, we won't be able to see anything. So Wrath of God, 2 and 2 whites. Now we're in closer. I'm just wondering what I did without the cards. So there's our old school Wrath of God. Yeah. So 2 and 2 white, destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated. That's sorcery speed. We've got Child of Alara, white, blue, black, red, green. It's a legendary creature avatar. It's 6/6 with trample. When Child of Alara dies, destroy all non-land permanents. They can't be regenerated. So of course in this set we're not just dealing with just sorceries or instants, but there are going to be, there's a creature in here which has a sort of board sweeper ability attached to it into the battlefield. Decree of Annihilation, so 8 and 2 red, and you'll see a lot of these have quite awkward casting costs in terms of the colour combination, or quite high casting costs, which is going to make them difficult, because you can imagine the big impact board sweeping is going to have on the board state. So for 8 and 2 red, what do we get? Well, we get to exile all artifacts, creatures and lands from the battlefield, all cards from all graveyards, and all cards from all hands. It also has cycling on it, so for a cost of 5 and 2 red, we can discard the card and draw a card. But when we do that cycling, we also get the bonus of destroying all lands. Fire Spouts is 2 colourless with red-green hybrid mana. It's a sorcery, and Fire Spout deals 3 damage to each creature without flying if red was spent to cast Fire Spout, and 3 damage to each creature with flying if green was spent to cast it. Do both if red-green was spent, which would be possible with the casting cost of 2 colourless red-green, because you could use, if you use red here, you know, you could use green as part of your 2 colourless, contribute towards that, so it's not difficult to do. Fracturing Gust is another card with hybrid mana in it. 2 colourless, and then 3 of these green-white hybrid manas. Destroy all artifacts and enchantments. You gain 2 life for each permanent destroyed this way. So that's our first 4 that we've got. Let's move on to the next packet. with these ones slightly more prominent curvature. Living Death. Each player exiles all creature cards from his or her graveyard, then sacrifices all creatures he or she controls, then puts all cards he or she exiled this way onto the battlefield. And to do that, it's a cost of 3 colourless and 2 black. Martial Coup, which is X colourless, 2 white. And it's a sorcery, and you get to put X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. So we have a conditional sweep on that of creatures if you've spent 5 or more as your X casting cost. Armageddon's in here, 3 and a white, and that destroys all lands. Burning of, I think that's Xinye, Xinye, 4 and 2 red. It's a sorcery, and you get to destroy 4 lands you control, then target opponent destroys 4 lands he or she controls, then Burning of Xinye deals 4 damage to each creature. Cataclysm, 2 and 2 white, it's a sorcery. Each player chooses from among the permanents he or she controls an artifact, a creature, an enchantment and a land, then sacrifices the rest. So our last pack here. Rolling Earthquake. X and a red. Rolling Earthquake deals X damage to each creature without horsemanship and each player. So pretty old school there. We've not seen horsemanship well, for a long time. It's way back. Smokestack for colourless. It's an artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a soot counter on Smokestack. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent for each soot counter on the Smokestack. More recent card in the shape of Terminus. So this is one of these miracle cards. So 4 and 2 white. Sorcery, put all creatures on the bottom of their owner's libraries. And for its miracle cost of 1 white, you may cast this card for its miracle cost when you draw it, if it's the first card you drew this turn. Upheaval. 5 and 2 blue. Sorcery, return all permanents to their owner's hands. That's like mass bounce. Virtue's Ruin, 2 and a black. Destroy all white creatures, so mass removal for white. And that's the last 5 in that product. So there we have the From the Vaults Annihilation. I can't remember if I showed you the back of the pack there, just as you can see that. I have no clue currently what the price has got up to on this. I suspect it's not as high as some of the other ones. So moving on to our next thing, we're going to crack open these and see what we have in these. So this is our one for the Xbox. So the first card is a foil. These are from M15. Soul of Ravnica, 4 colourless, 2 blue. Creature avatar. It's a 6/6. It's got a number of abilities on it. It's flying, and for 5 and 2 blue, you get to draw a card for each colour among permanents you control. And also for 5 colourless and 2 blue, You can exile Soul of Ravnica from your graveyard, draw a card for each colour among permanents you control. Other cards we have in this pack, we've got Endless Obedience, which is an uncommon. That's 4 and 2 black sorcery with Convoke on it. Hunter's Ambush, so we're moving on to the commons now. So it looks like you get like a rare, an uncommon, and the rest are commons. Hunter's Ambush, Meditation Puzzle. I've not actually looked at other openings of these packs. I don't know if they're the same or whether the lead cards are the same. Frost Link, Paragon of Fierce Defiance, and a promotion, well, so an advert card, I prefer to call it. I think they could just stick in a nice token with these. Okay. So this is another soul card. This is the green one. This is Soul of Zendikar. Again, it's you can see that it's foil. Notice this one not quite as bent, if anything, as the premium foil ones in the from the vaults. So 4 colours, 2 green gets us a 6/6. Again with a number of abilities on it. We've got Reach. And for 3 and 2 green, we get to put a 3/3 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Also, or alternatively, actually also, because if we don't tap this, so if we had enough mana, we could do both. 3 and 2 green, exile Soul of Zendikar from your graveyard. Put a 3/3 green creature, a green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Actually saying that, no, you couldn't, because it would have to be in the graveyard on that second ability. Meditation Puzzle, same. Frost Links, Paragon of Fierce Defiance. Oh, it's got a black cat in it, so that's interesting. That's some of the cards are the same and some are definitely different, because the uncommon I got was Endless Obedience. Actually, think about it, that other pack did have 2 uncommons in it. Black Cat, Miner's Bane, and yeah, another annoying advert. Okay, so there we have the 2 promo boosters that came with which were the redeemed product if you were able to redeem the code on your Jewels of the Planeswalker program. And the first thing we looked at obviously was the From the Vaults. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.